We've been doing this. Well, first of all, I guess we're live now. So on Midcurve, let me make sure it's actually even working. First time doing this.
Nice.
I think we'll just yeah, we'll just figure it out. I think just have like an informal conversation about like what's going on. State of Solana. Oh, we are live. That's cool. I can see it. Incredible technology, man.
Incredible technology. Yeah.
What a time. What a time we live in. But let's first of all, how about you just introduce yourself again to people who maybe are seeing this for the first time? We've gotten a few new followers lately, because of the grid, yes, the hackathon we're doing with Jito, and so anyway, yeah, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Farhaj, co-founder of Forma. We're building Solana economic zones.
Perfect. That's all we need to know. But actually, can you tell the people who are watching this now what you did beforehand? Because I think what you did beforehand in Web 2 was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. I was part of the founding team of Buildspace. We're the world's largest tuition-free school for entrepreneurs. Everything from manga artists to Web3 and AI builders. Just people having fun turning side quests into full-time quests, you know?
That was pretty cool. Yeah, and I love Buildspace. I didn't know about it until you told me about it, but once I went down the rabbit hole, it was actually a pretty cool thing. Yeah, by the time you had told me about it, it shut down. So
I know, tough news for us all, but you know the movement is still carried on. People are still kind of like championing the spirit, you know. And so now we have a bunch of us Buildspacers working on all sorts of other cool stuff.
That's right. But all that to say is like you have a lot of experience building companies, and you have a lot of experience in startups, right? Which is kind of what the grid is about.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to talk about today, because you're going to be a guest judge on the grid. So for whoever watches this and they don't know, Geo is running kind of a pseudo hackathon right now. It's called The Grid. You can go check it out, geo.com or geo.network/grid. And what it is it's just trying to get people to build on one, Geo restaking, but also just Solana in general. Like, how do we accelerate and give people the tools that they need to build in our community and on Solana, right? And so I thought it'd be a great idea to like host these workshops in partnership with the super teams and with you and with a few other larger projects in the space, and bring people in. And like I said, just give new builders knowledge on how to build a startup and what to build even. So today we did an ideation workshop. This morning for me, it was 4 a.m. So I had to wake up very early. But because we're doing on Asia time.
That's Southeast Asian time zone. Yeah.
So I'm up at 4 a.m. just dead. But luckily Buffalo and Mevin, two guys at Judo Labs, obviously Lucas, one of the founders of Judo Labs, did a workshop on like what just some ideas on what should be built. And I thought it was really good. And you can go watch the recording of it right now. I think it's still up. It's on Super Team Vietnam, and I think it's on Geo as well.
Geo channel. Yeah, I saw it this morning.
So,
yeah, pretty cool.
Did you watch any of it?
Yeah, like I got a third of the way through. Bookmarks. I was planning on like kind of watching the rest tomorrow.
Yeah. Man, it was good. There were some like super good ideas, and I think for young builders, it'd be really helpful, right? Like if you have the skills to build something, you just don't know what direction to go in. There was a lot of good ideas in there that they were talking about, and they kind of dug into a little bit. So that was pretty cool. But I think what I want to ask you about is, because every time I talk to you, I get great ideas. You're like you're an idea machine. So, and I like the energy. So I think what I want to chat with you about right now is like, how does one even get started? Like, how did you get started? What do you think is that first step to building something in Solana?
Well, that's a good question. I think there's like two ways you come up with an idea. First is kind of intrinsic, where you're either like obsessed with or can't stop thinking about something that you think is like cool or interesting, whether it's like electronic music or like, I don't know, construction or like RPCs, like our brother Mert. uh, and so when you become like quite like obsessed with or very interested in category or thing, it becomes easy to come up with different ideas on what would make it more interesting, whether it's a product or content, whatever. And I think the other one is extrinsic, either by virtue of circumstance or experience personally. Someone is at a company and they see that a process is so inefficient and it's losing the company a lot of monies. That's usually a way where you're like, oh my God, like it would be great if someone built to solve that. And you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Or, another kind of like timelines, just like what you say, what Buffalo was doing, which is giving really good thought out ideas that people don't have bandwidth to build and skilled people deciding to take on that challenge, then learn about how a product could be better in real time by experimenting and launching and getting people to use it. So I think like those are the two distinct paths I see people take. Both are great paths. Usually an idea or a product gets really good, not because you had the best idea, it gets really good because people interact with it and it gets better through their feedback. So just because an idea is not original, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make the best product. So for me, it was like really ironic. I had moved to America to go to college and study. And, I went to like 20 different barbers and they all gave me different haircuts. And I kind of looked like a brown thumb. And I was like, well, this is not really great. I've looked at all these different Google reviews. I've sat in the shop. I even entertained them with really good banter, but I just can't find like a barber who can work my hair type. And that was like my first company where I was like, you know what? I'm going to make an app where you can find a barber based on what kind of hairstyle that they're most familiar, like cutting, you know? And that was it. It was a very simple premise. We made barbers like fill out a quiz to tell us what kind of hairstyles they were familiar with. And then on the other hand, it was just a tag. And so there was like a simple search where a person could find the barber and book an appointment with them. And so, yeah, that was it. And I felt like, convicted enough, in all the different mantlets around the universe having the same struggle that I thought it would be a big enough market. And then I just, shipped a V1, got in front of people, tried to get users, and, evolved into a bunch of other stuff that I pursued. But yeah.
That's that's hilarious. I actually didn't know that you built that app.
Yeah, barber booking.
Six.
That was my first startup, actually.
Does it still exist?
No. Unfortunately, it wound down. I learned through the trial of fire, but it was a really cool experience. I made a lot of really good barber friends in the DFW Metroplex, and I spent a lot of time in shops too. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh man. Okay. So how did you come up with the idea to start Forma then?
Yeah, I think for me that was kind of like extrinsic. While I was at Buildspace, I was doing a lot of government BD, where Buildspace got big enough. We're having thousands of companies or projects get launched, a lot of them going on to raise like venture funding and stuff. And internally, we hadn't figured out a revenue model. So just like crazy idea where we were like, wow, people starting out on the internet building, they're going and then creating jobs and hiring people and starting to do payroll and doing all this interesting stuff IRL after they raise money or their product makes enough revenue. And so it's literally the kind of like helping grow the economy, right? And I was like, I wonder if governments would be interested in working with a company to drive economic development. And so I did like a kind of 4-month kind of rodeo talking to government people just off of LinkedIn cold messages all over the world and started to see that that was actually in fact true. And so while we were doing that, I basically realized like, as Buildspace was really hard to work with like countries that maybe didn't have like the same amount of resources as like a developed nation. But I felt like there was the most asymmetric opportunity for talent to succeed there and make an impact. And because I'm like Solana maxi and spend like 3-4 years in the ecosystem, a lot of my friends are building. I love working with Solana. Like, so I just had this idea. I was like, what if like Solana was like an internet native country that worked with these countries, and now we can kind of have like really cool strategic partnerships and, drive economic development by helping people land jobs on the internet, building like a first digital and eventually physical home for internet talent. So that was kind of the inspiration for Forma. I was like, man, it'd be so cool if, basically all these digital nomads had like a lobbyist group going to countries, making them like launch new policies and regulations that would make it easy for them to do business on the internet and live and have a good quality of life. And so that was kind of like the idea, for Forma to come together.
Now, was it okay? So was it you that was telling me about the country that was offering digital passports?
Yeah.
Did that come out of Forma?
Yeah. So while we were doing BD with a handful of countries, one of the most like unique ideas that I saw, because I've been trying to wrap my head around use cases for restaking specifically. And one of the ideas that I came across that I thought was so cool is there's a free zone called the Freeport area of Bataan in the Philippines. And it's just like, for people who are not familiar with free zones, it's a piece of land where they have special laws and regulations and incentives to make it very easy for people to set up businesses. And oftentimes it comes with tax concessions too. So it's a way for, countries to be able to attract foreign business, set up there, create jobs, invest in the economy. This one free zone was talking about building a new passport program where basically instead of buying a passport like you would in a Caribbean country, where you literally give them like $250,000 in cash, right, to get a passport so you have mobility or citizenship. This zone in the Philippines was like interested in having people stake dollars, which is basically showing a certain amount of investment into the country, and then them probably earning rewards from the validator or something like that for a certain amount of time. And then basically if you stake for 1 year, you get like a PR. And if you like keep your stake in their validator for 5 years, you'd basically get a passport. I just thought it was so cool that a country was thinking about something like that. It really like kind of like opened my mind about the type of different products that you could build with kind of like the restaking primitive. But yeah, I thought that was so freaking cool.
That's pretty cool. As someone who loves to travel, and yeah, and is looking at other passports and whatnot, that is very cool. Do you know where the project is right now?
I mean, I know they're working on the implementation phase, trying to get it built out. And so they will probably launch. They've already launched the investor program, and now they're working on building out the kind of staking mechanism to hopefully go live sometime later this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we tried very hard to Solana pill them, and I think they're quite interested now. Yeah.
What were they building on? Was it just
I don't know. They talked to a bunch of different people because I think this project was also exploring like building like a stable coin, within their zone or something like that. But to them, it did make the most sense to build on Solana just because of like liquidity, large amount of users, investors. And then also, I'm a very proponent of having crypto products that don't like feel like crypto at all. Where the user experience is just like based off of an email at the wallet in the back end, and people can make it self-custodial if they want later. And so I think uniquely just because of like all the really cool like open source projects, developer tooling SDKs on Solana, you can build some like really epic stuff like Moonshot, right? That could have maybe restaking or these like really cool complex like things on the back end. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Solana seems like the obvious play, right? I mean, like, yeah, what are you doing? If you're not building on Solana, what are you doing?
I'm being in a multi-chain world, but Solana is definitely the most fun place to build. It's like San Francisco on the internet, Yeah.
That's actually true. I've said this before on podcasts, but Solana is the place. I mean, what kind of kept me around was just how fun it was in the early days. Things didn't really work that well. Like there wasn't a ton of stuff to do even on Solana, like, whenever it was like 2020-ish. But like the community was definitely the most fun. And it would, so anyway, I think
like a really good community is like a pinball machine, and as it continues to get better, they basically just add more items to the board. So for every shot you take, it becomes almost impossible not to score points because you keep getting lucky. Yeah. And I think now I've literally talked to people, and the community on Solana is so big and so cool. And so, like, I think like philosophically similar, aligned, dissimilar, doesn't matter. There are people who are like, yeah, I'm going to spend the entire year going to Solana events and conferences, and I've forgotten that other crypto events exist. It's like you got Mountain now, Island now, Florida, Founders Villa, I don't know, Builder's Mansion in France. And it's like, yeah, it's a vibe.
Man, by the way, what a metaphor. Like modern Mark Twain over here talking about pinball machines.
But
by the way, since it's live, I can't like fix stuff on the fly, but notice my light died. My face looks super dark. Super have an extra light really quick.
All good.
I did a little bit. Look, I found another light.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
We're good. Fix it.
Off light.
Boom. There we go. Okay. So here's a question for you then, because we just mentioned kind of one use case and one idea. And since we had the ideation workshop this morning, do you have any other use cases or any other ideas floating around that brain of yours?
Really good question. I don't know how applicable this is, but I do know for the most part, like Solana has pretty fast like finality. When it comes to like integrations with exchanges and stuff. I've noticed on other chains, especially in the EVM ecosystem, finality is something that's a little bit more difficult. And restaking is kind of used as like an insurance mechanism to guarantee the authenticity of a transaction to a centralized exchange, so withdrawals can happen faster. And I know that increases like the trading experience. So I've always been curious what sort of like different things could be kind of built based on that primitive, right? Because to me, restaking is almost like on-chain insurance, right? And if you can get like assumed finality for a transaction, what is like new kind of like on-chain behavior that can be enabled that offers a better UX than something that exists in the Web2 world. So no specific examples, but I do think it would be very interesting to see kind of like a mixture of like, maybe are like the commodities, and restaking. I don't have a very clear idea, but I think there'd be something interesting about, I don't know, like liquid staking tokens based on precious metals or, rare
Okay.
materials or stuff like that. Usman, the co-founder of like Oros, but like on-chain gold. And I think like you could take some of these new things, and now there's like uranium on chain, right? And so you could take like some of these like existing or upcoming, products that are on chain and like build like really interesting insurance products maybe. Because one of the things that I think is like very like not ideal in the crypto ecosystem is most of the loans that exist are over collateralized. So whether you're doing based off of an NFT or you're doing based off your assets, you have to give like anywhere from 120 to 150%, of collateral to be able to lend the 100% of the equivalent in stables to do stuff with, just because you don't want to put your soul or valuable assets at risk. So, maybe using restaking, you can start to create like new interesting like insurance products. And I also think the whole like buy now, pay never thing is like pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, that could be cool. That could be really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I was thinking about this. I haven't like totally flushed this thought out yet, but I used to work in structured products.
Yeah.
The old trap by days when I would put on a tie, show up to the best. I now I just sit in my sweatshirt and gym shorts and do podcasts.
That just dripped out on camera, making amazing Anthony Bourdain type content. Yeah.
Yeah, very different world. But yeah, anyway, I was thinking about like structured products and how we could build structured products using your staking.
Are there like any specific examples you'd like to see?
Um, there is one specifically that I was thinking about, but again, like I haven't thought about how it would actually work. I need to like write it out. But yeah, some more like sophisticated financial products. But anyway, let me ask you something, because now you built a few businesses. Some of these people that were on this grid or in the grid hackathon, they have ideas. They're already starting to build. So it's like they're past the ideation stage. So what's next? How do you scale this business? What are some ideas that you might have to help like get your message out there and grow?
Yeah, I think something we saw a lot of engineers do at Buildspace is they would spend way too much time engineering, building these like extremely perfect products. You need to be doing the exact opposite. Build like the ugliest version possible of your idea that's usable and safe, since we're really in crypto, and help people interact with it, and build in public. I think that's the highest ROI thing you could ever do. Is if you're building something interesting, just tweet about it. Be very simple. Is a good hook. And a very quick demo video, maybe 10, 15 seconds, recorded, just screen recording on your laptop with a little bit of overlay of context, and ship it to the internet and tag Justin and me and Gito and all these cool people to see it, because what you don't understand is like you're, on your local host or on your laptop, you're playing a game, where n equals 1. You're the only person who's actually seeing this cool thing that you're building. And on, X, you're basically playing like n equals hundreds of millions, probably. And the likelihood that this cool thing that you're working on goes really viral and get a lot of cool people's attention is high. And so you want to be taking as many shots as humanly possible, at the risk of feeling cringe, because greatness exists in the cringe. So that'd be my number one piece of feedback: is try to make a minimum viable version of your idea. Don't over engineer it. Don't build too many features. Think about like what is the one interesting thing you would like to showcase that your product can help achieve, that one loop of action, where people can get an adrenaline rush because the cool thing is possible. and then ship it on the internet and just see how the world responds. You'd be genuinely surprised. Is probably what I say, because it might seem like crypto Twitter is huge and there are a lot of people, but we're a very small fraction of people on this planet, and we just happen to be very terminally online. So it's extremely likely that if you kind of build in our niche, Solana community is also so supportive that people get excited and rally behind your idea. So that's probably how you're going to find your first 100 users if you're not like directly cold messaging a bunch of people.
That's right. That's right. And to kind of add on to that, the way the algorithms work, especially like if you're doing Instagram shorts, or I know like our niche doesn't really exist. I mean, they do, but not so much on like Instagram shorts, YouTube shorts, and TikTok or whatever. I think it's like starting to move that way a little bit. But the way the algorithm works is like it just rewards shots on goal. So like you're not gonna be punished for like posting a ton. And so like if I had the time, and this is something I'm trying to work on this year, is like just posting as much as possible on those platforms, right? I was actually watching a team in India, and they caught Mr. Beast as he was walking into somewhere, and they were like, "Hey, how many like impressions or views do you think we get a month?" And he guessed, but he was way low. They get like 29 billion views a month.
Wow.
And it was something like crazy like that. I don't remember the exact number, and he was like asking them how much they were posting. They were posting like 10 to 15 times an hour. And it was only very nice level. And again, like it was basically like a tabloid site. It wasn't like an app or anything like that. It was just like they could take clips of celebrities and post it, and like they had a team of people just editing this stuff and just like cranking it out, right? But the point is that you're not going to be punished. And they mentioned that they had talked to Instagram themselves and a few of the other platforms, and it's like the point is you're not going to be punished for like just shooting shots, over creating, exactly, and just getting the message out there. And eventually, like one's going to hit, right? So for me, if I was a solopreneur and I was just like building something, I would be documenting exactly what I'm doing the whole time, and then like posting it all the time. And another thing about that is like I think people really love the founder journey. They love like the grind and like that bootstrap journey and founder led marketing, right? Because it's real, and you can see the story as it grows. So another person to follow is Marcus. He has this company called Mint in New York. His YouTube's called Marcus Milioni, but he's building this running company, and I love watching his videos. But the only marketing that they've done is literally his blogs. And so he makes a blog twice a month, and it has blown up, and they're really well done, obviously, but they have blown up on YouTube. And now from like nothing, he has a shoe deal with Saucony. He's done shoes with Nike, and they just like exploded. But like literally, it was just because he was telling his story of like how to build his, how to explode startups. And that would be something that I'm more interested in as well. Like if you're building something in the space, like I would be more interested in you doing like blogs or just showing your process of how you're building and what you're building. So
ETS content. We need to be doing a lot more of that, because I think it's fun. Yeah,
it is fun, and it brings people into your world and what you're creating. So anyway, I think we're almost coming up on time. One more question for you. Like, what do you like in stage here this year? What are your goals for Forma?
Oh, whoa. I was actually going to make a long tweet about this.
Okay.
But I mean, personally, I think the network state concept is really cool, but I haven't seen a lot of network states very proactively try to like take the kind of startup philosophy to making stuff happen. Maybe because like crypto and government don't interact really well. They have a lot of opposing views that they try to impose on each other. And so my personal goal is to see if we can kind of speed run the process of going from network state to owning land, by collaborating with the government and contributing to their economic growth. I think it'll take longer than I perceive, but I'm trying my best. And another thing that I really want to do is I think like as now a lot more jurisdictions are becoming friendlier to business, there's even more confusion than ever for companies on where to set up. And so I'm spending a lot of time talking to different free zones, countries, jurisdictions to try to understand what could possibly be like the best like potential handful of homes for companies, right? Because we're seeing like tokens get that are just like launching at like ridiculous scale on a daily basis. I've never seen this kind of activity on Solana before. But the crazier thing is there are a lot of tokens that are going in 48 hours to like 100 million market cap and stuff like that. And a lot of established companies that, aren't necessarily meme coins. I think they're just companies that are choosing to IPO on the internet first, and they're choosing to organically build those products out. And, a lot of these devs do, really good things like setting up vesting contracts and, having this long-term commitment to their community that will work on really interesting products. And so I think, when some of these grow really big, really fast, people start to freak out and they don't know how to set up in a safe jurisdiction. So I'm hoping within this year that as Forma, we can kind of help bridge that gap and make it easier for businesses to do business and have access to banking and all these good things that allow them to continue to grow their business without having to worry about all the difficult stuff on the ops side and the risk side, So those are I'd say our two big goals. And we'll host a handful of banger events that are going to evolve based on what we've learned from last year to hopefully bring together like-minded people and infuse a lot of cool things like music and culture and things we appreciate to hopefully foster a community of these nomadic, high-skilled, high-potential internet talent, and so that's the kind of the meta right now that we're thinking a lot deeply about is how can we become this lobbying group that helps eventually build a home for the world's best internet talent. Yeah.
Yep. That would be amazing. First of all, if you're going to host events and do music, you got to invite our own Zano.
Oh, and he played at Soul House in Buenos Aires, a legendary set. Yeah.
My boy, he's the best.
No, it's sad to see the bat signal and he appears with a USB, in Romanian house music. It's incredible. Yeah.
But it's like the beard signal. It's not a bat. It's just just a huge beard. I'm actually headed to Miami to hang out with him and do some stuff with him in a few weeks here. So we'll do some music stuff for sure. He is. I'm not going to give it away, but Zano is more than a DJ. Yeah, and I hope to show this when we go to Miami. But he's a very good, talented musician in his own. I think it's traditional Kurdish music.
Yeah. Oh wow! Can't wait to hear that.
Yeah. See, people don't know this about Zano, and I don't know if he wants to. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this.
Come out on Twitter when it's ready. Yeah, X. Yeah. Kind of speaking about music, pretty really cool idea actually, which I'd love to see for someone to build. I don't know how restaking ties into it, but I briefly tweeted. There are a lot of these AI coins and stuff that are going crazy, and I feel like the problem that I've noticed with music related projects in the past is usually they tried some sort of income sharing agreement where you would own a future percentage of the royalties of all of the songs created by an artist, which represents and competes with labels too much in my opinion. But one thing that I think that could be interesting is individual songs or EPs, right? I think those because the memetics of the song going viral now, it's the artist can actually work really hard with their community to make songs go viral and get appreciated and have, some sort of longevity and reach. That could be pretty interesting, which is either tokenizing or fractionalizing, your song, right? As an artist, maybe this psychedelic rock band from Sri Lanka called The Soul that I saw, no one in the world really knows about them, but if they were able to, launch a token for this really awesome song that they had, they might be able to get a lot more new fans who go and evangelize their music and are incentivized for its success. So I think that's a very interesting thing because, you don't need to make millions of dollars off this stuff as an artist. Even if the token, becomes just relatively successful or the song, whatever form it is, becomes successful and you make $1,000 a month, that is life-changing money for people in, developing nations. And so I think there are a lot of these very interesting consumer products where you can find legacy industries and try to see if crypto can supercharge using community, distribution, reach, audience for their projects,
So sorry, back up. You mentioned you saw some psychedelic rock band in Sri Lanka. Is there a story there? Or you
well, friends, I had two really close friends host like a pop up city esque thing, but it was completely centered around music. I personally never attended a pop up city per se, and so I was like, "Oh, this is a really cool time to go be an attendee." And it was really beautiful. They had 150, 200 people come out. It was like 4 days. One of the days they had like a 15-hour rave. It's just really cool. Never done one of those before, but it was really fun. And on the last day, they actually had, they were bringing a lot of local musicians out to play and perform for us. It's a beautiful little town in Sri Lanka in the south. And on the last day, there was this band called The Soul, and they do kind of like English songs that are like hyper relatable, about day to day life and our struggles. And, they talk about a lot of the problems in the world and stuff. But the music felt like, I don't know, the Sri Lankan version of Led Zeppelin or something, and is really cool. Yeah, I sat there like just staring at them for 2 hours, enjoying it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds fun. All right, man. I think you have to wrap it up. We have hard stop coming up here, so I'm gonna let you go. You have any? Yeah, you and I could just ramble. I think for a while, like we could just riff for a while. But closing thoughts. Do you have anything else you want to say? Anything you want to tell the people?
Yeah, I mean, I think three things. First is if you have a really cool idea, try to make a demo version of it as fast as humanly possible. Don't worry about how impressive or how great it looks. Don't try to over-engineer it. Second, as soon as you have a workable version that you can share with your friends and they can interact with it, not only direct message them the link to production so they can test it out, like get the fuck off of localhost. Sorry, pardon my French. Send it to production, send it to mainnet, let people interact with it, and also tweet about it, right? So that strangers can discover it, get excited about it. The cool thing about the grid is it's creating like an attention vacuum, where attention is going from Jito and a lot of the great people on their team and plus like larger community, including ourselves, to builders who are you, working on shipping really cool stuff. So take advantage of that. When you ship something cool, tag us in the comments and see if magic happens. So I'm just really excited that people are choosing to go this alternative life path and work on something they're personally interested in. And I hope a lot of your projects like take off, because that would be pretty awesome. Yeah.
It would be pretty cool. I mean, even if we get one or two really good projects out of this, I think that's kind of a win. But yeah, it's a home run. But plus, other people are hearing about Jito and they're getting excited about building on restaking and Solana and all this stuff. So like just kind of building that community. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. I think hopefully this went well. First time we've done a live stream. Don't know how it went on the Twitter end. Between me and you, it was great. you know, uh, always. And I'm sure I'll see you somewhere soon in the world. I don't know. I'm sure we'll cross paths, but for sure we'll probably be in Abu Dhabi for break.
I'm gonna get you an incredible Lebanese shawarma. Have it ready for right as you walk out of the airport. Yeah.
I am really quick. I'm on a just to kick off the year. I went on like a 48-hour fast, and now I am on just pure carnivore diet, only meat for the last 2 weeks. So,
sorry about the carbs. I'll bring lamb chops instead. Yeah.
No. So the plan is to morph or like kind of add in other foods. So until I'm back into like a Mediterranean diet, I'm not going to do this forever. But I felt like I just needed like a cleanse of the system, right? And just like because after the holidays, it was bad. It was.
So this is basically you curing Thanksgiving and Christmas damage.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, it's also like I've always also done like getting big season during wintertime. So it's like, how big can I actually get and how strong can I get? And then it's like, I'll taper off, into summer. So yeah, I'm already this month, I think I'm down 13 or 14 pounds in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's super impressive.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens when you just like only eat meat, no carbs, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. But
I could be
random.
Very easy to do in Argentina. Yeah.
Oh man, Argentina. When we were there, I got so sick of steak. It's like just everywhere you go, they feed you. It's like an appetizer. You show up to an Olive Garden there, and instead of bread basket, they give you like steak basket. That's a great idea. There's an idea someone should build a restaurant who brings you appetizers of just steak bites and then feeds you steak. I guess that's just like a Brazilian grill. Anyway, all right, man, I'll let you go. Thanks for hanging
I
out.
love